So yeah, the armor will make us safe from anything that doesn't cast spells, basically. But we still need our broadsword so that we can so that we're actually strong enough to kill things. So yeah, as I say, much less danger this time. And in addition to that, the enemies have a reduced chance of attacking you first, and you have a greater likelihood of running as well. This metal scorpion I might as well just kill. We're going to be grinding on enemies like this for a while anyway.
That's right, and while you don't have the sword, you do have the hurt spell.
Yep. And again, usually when I make this walk, I'm at level 4. Now I'm at level 5, so I have even more defense. The warlocks are the main thing I worry about, because they can actually put you to sleep, and sometimes you wake up after one turn, other times you stay asleep, I believe, for as long... It's either 6 or 7 turns you can stay asleep.
Well, I believe 6 is the cap, yeah.
Almost there.
Even if he's only hitting you for a little bit through your armor, he can still rack up a ton of damage with the sleep. Not to mention he's wasting your time.
Right. Yeah, it can waste a lot of time. Well, that was a little scary. A lot of attempted runs there.
Man, nah, I'm catching up because I'm watching on the Twitch stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Scorpion is still pretty fast. You're still not a high level, so the run chance is not the greatest.
So even with the broadsword at level 5, we still want to use hurt at least twice on metal scorpions, because we're just not doing that much damage. Metal scorpions have the highest defense of any enemy around here. But of course, if we do attack, we get an excellent move, which is always nice to see. And warlocks are just too dangerous to fight at this low level. So yeah, these are the 3 desert tiles. We'll get an encounter on average once every 8 steps. So let's see how much damage we're doing to wolves. It's not much, but I don't want to use all my healing magic on the hurt spell.
That's right, since you have to go to the inn to refill your magic, you end up trying to figure out what is the best use of my magic. Is it killing these scorpions faster, or is it healing myself so I can stay out of town and not use the inn as often?
And it's interesting because I still haven't decided 100% what's faster. I think it would require a lot of analysis.
Mm-hmm, I think so. I think there was some debate for a while.
Same thing.
I think it's just fun to chuck fire at scorpions, so...
Same thing on that metal scorpion. I attacked it twice, or used hurt twice, and then got an excellent move after.
And I think if you get good damage rolls on the hurt spell, you can kill him in 2, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's still worth going for that, instead of on the off chance you get the first hit crit.
Yeah, I think on average my attacks do about 6 damage to a metal scorpion at this level. Somewhere around there. So 4 attacks versus possibly 2 hurts, and if the hurts don't finish them off, usually 1 attack will after that. Oh, that's very helpful. I didn't think it would kill him, but it's still very helpful to kill a wolf in 2 rounds. Next
Wolves
level,
are the most lucrative at this point, right?
yeah, they're the ones that give the most experience. Gold is no longer any kind of concern. It will come totally automatically. At level 12, we'll fight 3 or 4 gold men, and that'll give us all the gold we need to fill the gap for the silver shield, which is 14,800 gold. In the meantime, experience is all that matters, and our next battle will get us our next level.
And your priorities kind of change as you gain levels, right? Like now it's I'm strong enough to attack scorpions rather than use magic, and now I have the sleep spell, so I can do this, and now it's okay to take on warlocks.
Yep, so I think at level 6 I will start attacking metal scorpions entirely. I used to attack warlocks at level 8, but I noticed I wasn't always killing them in 2 hits, and in one run I died at level 8 to a warlock, and I said, okay, no more. I'm just going to fight them at level 9. And it turns out at level 9 I 2-hit kill them almost every time, so it just feels better. It's not like I'm missing out on a lot of experience. Thankfully, wolves are the most common enemy in this area, and not warlocks. Otherwise, the whole run would be a lot more dangerous. It'd be a lot more resetting.
Yeah, I think it's like, is it just 2 out of 5 for the wolves and 1 out of 5 for the others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the others are warlocks, metal scorpions, and skeletons. Yeah, to the people in chat, I think it's 6 frames as well.
If it's 1 frame per letter, and you took out a 6-letter word.
And apparently the game runs at 60 frames per second, so it's a 1/10 of a second difference every time you're attacked by an enemy. Every time you take damage.
And then how many times does that happen in the course of the run?
Somebody told me that they counted the battles in one of my runs, and it was 975 battles. And we believe that on average you see that message more than twice per battle throughout the entire game. So it's got to be somewhere around 2,000 times. So you can do the math from there. I think it's somewhere around 3 or 4 minutes. So yeah, every time we run low on HP and have no MP, just come back to the inn and refill. And again, gold is absolutely no concern. I remember as a kid playing this game, I refused to stay at any inn other than at Breckenary, because they were so much more expensive and I needed to save my gold for fancier equipment. It's just not necessary in a speedrun. So yeah, this grind session is relatively long, but it's not without its little details. I think every level you gain, the way you fight enemies changes a little bit. And then at level 10, we head south to fight a harder group of enemies, which gives us experience even faster. In the meantime, level 7 is at 450 experience.
When you were talking about how you used to go to the cheaper inn as a kid, I was trying to think back on my... because this is one of those really, really early childhood memories for me, where it's all kind of hazy. But I distinctly remember I played it with my mom. She would take the reins mostly. And I remember she was the one who found the stairs in Tantagel Castle, where you go around the outside. It, like, blew my mind.
I remember it took me forever to find the Stones of Sunlight. And I remember watching other people play, it took them forever too. For 1990s kids gameplay, it was apparently a good hiding spot.
Yeah, it's pretty well hidden. And I guess I remembered the Rainbow Bridge. It's the closest thing the game has to a cutscene.
That's true. Aside from things that you don't need to do, like, for example, playing the silver harp seems to take forever. There were myths floating around that you could use the silver harp to grind, but unfortunately it only yields really weak enemies. So here I can't even heal for enough HP to make a difference, so I'm just gonna head straight back. I suppose I should just heal anyway, just in case, because there's one more space to walk on. And I've encountered enemies on that one space before. So the other thing about the speedrunning of this game that was a huge deal last year was level 18 versus level 19. And everyone was going at level 19 because we were aware of how unlikely it was to beat the Dragon Lord at level 18, and how much of a huge difference it made to build for an extra 20 minutes and get up to level 19. You win almost every time at that point, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. You go up from... Well, I did some experimentation, and starting from outside of the castle and making my way down to the Dragon Lord and fighting him. At level 18, I managed about 1 in 4 success rate. Obviously, that can vary a little bit, but you're right. It is pretty close to 100 once you get up to 19. The difference is staggering.
Yeah, I heard someone quote 85%, but I think that includes the walk to the Dragon Lord. I think the Dragon Lord himself is more like 95%, something like that.
Yeah. Because your damage doubles, right? 18 to 19?
Your damage range increases by 1. At level 18 it's 6 to 12, and at level 19 it's 7 to 13. So on average you do 1 more damage per attack, which means on average you're gonna have to actually physically attack him once or twice less, which makes a huge difference.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, there's like a break point. And its number of hits.
So there's level 7. Every level we grind here, we take less damage, we get more MP, we spend a lot more time rather between inn trips. And every once in a while, there's a bit of risk-reward in trying to get up to the next level before you stay at the inn, and sometimes it comes down to a really dangerous fight at the end of your level.
Yeah, you push your luck too far, and then... Uh-oh, Warlock before I get back to town. Oh, I'm asleep. Oh no, oh no.
Exactly. Warlock is always the biggest danger in this area. The wolf just dodged my excellent move, which always seems like a pretty hilarious thing to happen. It doesn't happen in any other Dragon Warrior.
How excellent could that move really be? And the sound effects, like, they're great. You get the, like, you're like, yes, I got him, and then, like, this,
Yep.
right out of a cartoon.
Especially against Demon Knights, which have the highest dodge rate of any enemy that we grind against in this game. It's especially frustrating. But sometimes when I see excellent move, like, I've learned not to get too excited because their dodge rate is so high. It's close to 1 in 4. So if you're grinding for a long time, you'll eventually see, 2 dodges in a row, 3 dodges in a row. And
yes.
Things get dangerous. Because
before you're
at before you're at level 15, they're very strong.
There's like a psychological effect to games with like a high miss chance, and it just feels bad to just not get anything done multiple times in a row.
Feels bad, man.
Oh, I don't know if this is sarcasm or genuine, but someone in chat doesn't know what an NES is.
Uh-oh.
It could be young. The kids these days, they like the Twitch, the Call of Duties, and we're on the front page.
League of Legends.
Yeah. They click on a thing, and they're like, what's this? Was this game made in the 80s? Yes, it was.
Alright, so the grind will go until level 13, at which point we'll be... I don't want to say strong enough, we're still pretty weak, and what we're going to be doing is still really dangerous, but we're going to get the Silver Shield, Edric's Token, Edric's Armor, and finally Edric's Sword, which will allow us to grind against some of the hardest enemies in the game. So because this game, the parameters of battle are so well defined, like it's always one-on-one, you always attack first unless the enemy is a certain percentage of a preemptive. Enemies have a specific hit point range. There are only 5, I believe 5 at most enemies in any given zone. So it's really easy to define, the group of enemies you're going to fight and how difficult they're going to be at any given level. So all the work that's put into speedrunning this game revolves around basically statistical analysis of what's absolutely optimal. And that process really fascinated me, so this was the first game I really speedran. And a year later, I still love it.
That's
And
cool. I'm glad you talked a little bit about that, because I think people often, they'll see someone, grinding on this bridge for an hour or whatever, and they think, like, what drives a person to do that? And it's actually, it's basically a puzzle. And it's just something people like to see solved.
yeah, it's my kind of problem solving.
And
But-
if it gives you a nostalgia twinge, that helps too.
Yeah, it still does every time. But yeah, with this game, battles are so well defined, and with the other Dragon Warriors, even like number 2, for example, they started experimenting. You get multiple party members. You fight multiple enemies at a time. There are new status effects such as being poisoned. There's so many variables that come into play. It is so much more difficult to define the game solidly. So for that reason, the ideas that come forward in speedrunning are still wide open. There's a couple other runners that use entirely different routes in the middle game than myself. And it's all a matter of taste and experimentation. We just don't know what's absolutely best yet.
That is really cool, actually. When you get to a certain tier of skill, of gameplay, you tend to kind of see the same stuff eventually, right? People figure out what is best. So the idea that everyone, even way at the top, honestly just don't know which is best, and you get to see some variety, you get to go with what feels more comfortable.
Yeah, I still like watching other runners do different routes, and sometimes I watch and I'm like, I don't think that's right. Like, I don't think that's gonna save you time. And then they get to the end and something else happens, and I think, well, that part's faster, so maybe that offsets it. And yeah, I just haven't figured it all out for sure. I just know that my route is comfortable and it works well, and I want to expand on it. And I'm always open to new ideas. And to this day, there's still innovations being made in pretty much all 4 games. Even in this game, there's still some somewhat unanswered questions, like when should you go into Hawk's Nest to fight? In certain situations, is it worth it to stop at Breckenary and buy herbs on the way to Hawk's Nest type thing? And these are questions I'm still working through. Yeah, level 12 Axe Knight is definitely an idea that's worth exploring. Essentially there's no drawback from a speedrunner's point of view apart from the obvious, which is that you have a low success rate, and if you die 3 or 4 times, I'm not exactly sure how many, but 4 times for sure, like, then you're losing time, and the run is over after something like 2.5 hours. So at that point,
Yeah,
it
at
comes
some
down
point
to like, practicality versus...
Exactly. We are very good at jumping in at exactly at the same time.
Yeah,
I've
we are.
noticed.
Probably one more battle here before the next in trip, and it's not going to be a Warlock. Thankfully, our run rate is already really good. So yeah, in Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4, there are always lots of differences with everything, from menuing to battle dynamics. And what I was going to mention was, in Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4, there's always a set chance of running, and in Dragon Warrior 1, your chances of running are expressed in a percentage that increases the higher your level gets. And it's directly in proportion to how strong the enemy is, essentially. So, if an enemy is much stronger than you, you could essentially sit there trying to run all day and not get away. Of course, it would probably kill you really quickly, but that's something they changed after this game. So in Dragon Warrior 3 and 4, you can only fail to run 3 times. The 4th time you're guaranteed to be successful. In Dragon Warrior 2, it's a little different. I don't know for sure, but I'm told that against any enemy at any level, your odds of success are 2/3. And that feels right based on everything I've observed in speedruns. Anyway, the next battle will give us level 8. Which is kind of the borderline zone for fighting warlocks. Again, I really don't want to fight warlocks at level 8. I've learned my lesson.
They're so tempting though because of the low HP.
Always tempting. Oh yeah, I'm the only one that can update that now, but I'd have to... That's one thing I'd have to pause running to do.
Yeah, we had enough downtime earlier that we were like, don't, just start going, just
Yep.
start going.
So my original plan was to take one shot at the Dragon Lord at level 18, and if it didn't work out, I would just build to level 19, so that there was no danger of losing a lot of time on the stream. Or on the schedule, rather. But because I've lost these 12 minutes, if some other things go wrong, I might not have a safety buffer to go for him at level 18. I might just build to level 19, but we'll see where we're at later. For all I know, everything else could go really smoothly. Yes, that's true. In even Dragon Warrior 2, sleep is very useful even at the end of the game.
If you're a tool-assisted run, it's the only way you can beat the Dragon Lord. I guess before 18, right? Like even level 17, I think it's impossible unless you throw in sleep at some point.
Either that or essentially perfect damage rolls. Like basically a human will never accomplish it at level 17, essentially.
I remember, like, because I was curious, like, is it technically possible? And I remember running some numbers and saying, like, even if he hits you down to 1 HP each time, and even if you get max damage each time, I was pretty sure you come just short of killing him at 17.
It's possible. I
Without
never took a
casting
close look
sleep.
at it.
But of course, the tool-assisted run can land sleep. I don't know what the success chance of it is, nor the chance of the... Wait, the enemy waking up is a set chance, isn't it?
I forget what it is, but I know that against the Dragon Lord you have a 1 in 16 chance of putting him to sleep.
Yeah, and then he keeps him asleep and recasts sleep a ludicrous number of times.
Yeah, so he builds to level 7 so he has enough MP, and because he can't do any physical damage, he needs the Hurt spell to finish off the Dragon Lord. And yeah, so he keeps the Dragon Lord asleep the entire time from one cast. And casts Hurt and grinds him down the
Oh,
slope.
right. Yes. It was, it's the player who has a cap on the hit, the waking up from sleep.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I think if something could just put you to sleep and keep you asleep forever would be ridiculously unfair. Oh, I should go back to the inn, actually. It's a shame that herbs are not useful against the Dragon Lord. That would be a huge help. But yeah, there's no way to expect to heal more than the damage you take.
Yeah, I think like you can use them to very, very slightly increase your chances of getting somewhere. Like
Yeah, you use
if
them on the Dragon Lord's first form to try and
Yes.
end up with full health going into the second form. So basically you're hoping that the first form will cast Stop Spell when he's at low HP and then you can kill him. And if he casts Hurt More or attacks you, then you use an herb and again you hope he casts Stop Spell. At level 18 this is very difficult to pull off because you end up having to use herbs on your approach. Again, because you can't use any of your healing magic, you need to save it all for the Dragon Lord. Ultimately,
enemies
you
in the
only have
castle
about a
are no joke.
50% chance of even making it to the Dragon Lord at level 18.
Yes, exactly. Those guys are tough, and the castle is long. Even the area outside the castle is pretty dangerous. I was doing some testing, and I was like, alright, walk to the castle, and it was like a star wyvern just killed me. And I was like, well, that didn't go well. Man.
Soon, Warlock, soon. One more level. Yeah, that was another thing about the newer Dragon Warriors. Lots of experimentation with new spells. A lot of ideas that were tossed around, a lot of spells that were essentially useless, whether you were speedrunning or not, and others that were insanely powerful. And those ideas kept being tossed around in future games with no essential conclusion, like there's still a lot of useless spells that no one would ever use. And there are still a lot of specific spells that you build towards before you step over another major roadblock. Yay, excellent move. Wow, I still didn't kill him at level 8. Yeah, not just in Dragon Warrior 3, but even in Dragon Warrior 4, the Iron Eyes spell is used by some speedrunners. I think its intention was to show you what an enemy can do without actually inflicting damage on you. But in reality, there are other uses for it, such as forcing an enemy to run out of MP. Which can't happen in Dragon Warrior 2, by the way. It was a concept introduced in Dragon Warrior 3. Another interesting idea.
Yeah, the warlocks will always be able to put you to sleep.
Yes, that's another thing. Sleep has a 100% success rate against you in this game, and this game only. Almost time for Warlocks. Yeah, and that's another thing. I think this is the only game where you're guaranteed to wake up after a specific period of time, or turns rather. So you're guaranteed to be put to sleep if the enemy casts sleep, but it's guaranteed to not last forever. Just the opposite of the other games. So yeah, now that wolves are no threat, we welcome their heavy presence. 40% chance of encountering them on these tiles. We are 126 away from level 9.
How you doing, chat? Are you still with us? It's now 5 a.m. Eastern Time. I guess our European viewers are just about afternoon for them.
Yeah, a lot of people in Europe waking up to this. And for me, it's only 3 a.m. right now, so I'm a little less tired.
Still a long way to go, though.
Yep. So the grind here will last until level 13. There is merit to getting out of here at level 12, but it's very like it has a pretty low success rate. And because I've already died a couple times, I don't want to take risks that have the potential to make things go a lot longer. Here, however, I would like to fight a wolf or metal scorpion so that I can get my next level before I go in. So the wolf is perfect. I'd have just enough HP that this is basically safe.
It's not very often that you have to make a decision that isn't planned out in advance. Like, you already know, I'm going to heal when I get to this number, and I'm going to attack these enemies and cast spells on these enemies. But there are moments that pop up where you have to react, basically. And, getting to that last level threshold before you go back to town is definitely one of those spots where you end up having to make a call. Do I go for another battle to level up? Do I run from this one and try for one that gives me more experience?
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, and this was a perfect example. Down to about... I think I had like 23 HP or something like that. And I was at least 12 experience away, so a skeleton wouldn't be enough. It had to be a wolf or a metal scorpion. So I made the call to try and find one. And it worked out that time. So another thing, the heal spell recovers 10 to 17 HP each time. So my max HP is 50 right now, so automatically every time I'm at 33 HP or less, I will cast heal. Because there's no reason not to. Excellent move! So yeah, in chat they're talking about a bot that was programmed to beat this game, and I was always really fascinated by that. It had to overcome a lot of challenges, and the thing that most impressed me is, in Breckenary, very often the tool shop can get completely obscured by NPCs, and the bot had a script programmed into it so that if that happened, it knew exactly what to do, so it would back up out of the way and wait for the NPC to move. And I just thought that was quite a feat to program into this kind of thing. That bot ended up
even
being...
the foresight to be like, this could happen, I need to do something about it.
Exactly. And that bot ended up being pretty good. It finished the game in a reasonable speedrunning time. It was like very close to 6 hours, like just over 6 hours, I think, was its best time.
Shiner says its PB is actually better than his. Shiner was one of the earlier runners of this game.
Yeah, he had the best time on it at one point. He's one of the people who knows pretty much everything about the game inside and out. Alright, we're at level 9. It's time to kill some warlocks. So here we're put to sleep, but I'm not as worried about taking too much damage. So even here, like we were asleep for 3 turns, and we still kill him in 2 hits, and we have plenty of HP left, so all the danger's gone pretty much. So it's one less thing we have to run from. Running always takes up a little bit of time, because you have to take your 8 steps to encounter an enemy, and then it takes time to actually run away from it and walk another 8 steps to get the next enemy. That time is all saved if you can fight everything. So yeah, one more level, and then at 2,000 experience, we get to go down south and fight wolf lords, which give 20 experience each, and cast Stop Spell. I believe it's half the time.
Which is a complete non-threat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think every enemy that actually casts Stop Spell in the game is a welcome thing to run into in terms of grinding.
That sounds right.
The next big enemy is the Knight, which gives 33 experience. We fight a lot of them outside of Hawksness, and they cast Stop Spell a lot. And then there's the Dragon Lord, who, in his first form, he casts Stop Spell, and it will never work on us because we have Edric's armor, so we just hope he casts it over and over again so we can keep our full HP.
If it did work, would it carry over to the other form?
I never found out for sure, but I believe it's supposed to, and I believe that's one of the main reasons you're sort of forced to get Edric's armor.
Yeah.
Because if Stop Spell is put on you, you can't heal yourself and you're dead.
Yeah. Unless you're super, super high level.
I am curious to see how much damage you can do to the Dragon Lord at level 30. I did build a file up to level 30 once, but it was long before a time when I was actually analyzing the game that way. Okay, so I'm at level 9. Usually in a speedrun I will take this opportunity to buy the keys I need. So we'll just do that now. For whatever reason, the game only lets you hold up to 6 keys and up to 6 herbs. I sort of wonder how they settled on that number. It just seems odd to me.
Yeah, usually it's 8, right? They go with using one byte or 1 bit or some multiple of 2.
Yep. Yeah, some power of 2.
Power of 2, right?
And in every other Dragon Warrior game, each character only has 8 slots for items. In this game, for whatever reason, we have more than 8 slots. I don't remember exactly how many it is, but it's more than 8. And we can also hold up to 6 herbs and 6 keys. Why they reduce that, I'll never be sure.
Man, programming games back then was a dark science, though. I'm surprised people were able to come up with anything at all, let alone all the great stuff that we still enjoy today.
I'm always really surprised thinking back at, like, the amount of effort that went into this game, the kinds of details that you would never expect from a game this early in the video game cycle. All the little details, like from stat growth being determined by your name, to like a host of different things. You see so many NES games that seem like they were programmed really quickly, and some of them are really enjoyable, others seem really awful, but there's a lot to say for a game of this much detail that early in the cycle that we still love to play them today. So we can already see our experience going gradually up faster. We're almost at level 10, and that's the point at which we get to go fight Wolf Lords.
That's right, as you're doing more damage, you're killing things faster, and you're also taking less damage and visiting the inn less often, so you actually get a sort of exponential rate of experience gain.
Right. Still can't kill a metal scorpion in 2 hits, though. Not always, anyway. Alright, I think it's time to grab that blanket you were talking about earlier, get a little more comfortable, and hopefully not fall asleep in the middle of grinding, which I have done before on some late night runs. Only briefly, like I would sort of like start mashing A and sort of doze in and out a little bit, like for 10 or 20 seconds.
Yeah, and you've just been bumping up against the same wall for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I threw on a sweater. I got a bag of Reese's Pieces, what I bought for myself at the bulk barn as my like Halloween gift to myself, because that's the kind of person I am.
We have a bulk barn nearby as well. It's a wonderful thing. It's like the warlocks are trying to hypnotize me. Thou art asleep, thou art still asleep. Almost out of MP, so I'm going to stick close and probably go back to town after this wolf. So we're going to be grinding to level 13 here. At level 10 we get to go down south and fight a harder group of enemies that gives more experience. And then at level 13 we advance the plot of the game, so to speak.
But we at least get that change of scenery at level 10.
Yeah. 2 more battles, unless they're both skeletons. Level 10. And as if on cue, our friend the Wolf Lord appears. The Wolf Lords are the enemy down here that have a 40% chance of appearing, so we see them the most. Which is great from all perspectives, because they give the most experience. They're technically the easiest because of how often they cast Stop Spell. And they're not Goldmen, which we'll be running from until level 12.
Programming chat has taken over. There's a pretty big cross section of the kind of people who are interested in programming and the sort of logic there, and the sort of science that can go behind speedrunning, I find.
Absolutely. I first learned BASIC in high school, and before I knew it, like, one of the first things I programmed was my own version of an RPG, which was almost entirely based off of Dragon Warrior and what I knew about it. I was lazy, so I didn't program any pictures or anything, like it was all text-based, but it was a lot of fun to create and play something like that.
That was my high school project. It was a sort of RPG thing. I didn't know enough to actually have like an overworld or anything. I think I just made it like you just say go deeper into the forest.
Yep.
And you would either go deeper or come back, and that was it.
Yeah, I had the same sort of idea, like, I think you could just go north and south, and it was all about how far away you were from your hometown. That would
The
make
encounter
enemies
rate
more
would
difficult.
increase because you were further away.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Alright,
I,
I have
however,
to watch
I'll
out
have to
here,
draw.
because I'm out of MP again.
Right. Yeah, your things are no longer trivial down here.
Yeah. So there's a window of risk here that, again, is something that I'm still thinking about. For sure I'm okay with my HP, you know, as low as 35, for example, but what about if it's lower than that? Do I want to try and fight another battle before I go back? Does it even really matter? Like, how often is it going to be significant?
Right, it's one of those things where you would just need a massive amount of data to figure out a solid answer.
That's right.
Or you can always just go by feel.
Yeah, I learn a lot from each individual speedrun. A lot of individual little situations come up and I get a feel for them, and wow, I'm down to 19 now, so we'll definitely go back now. I'm not exactly worried, but it's definitely time to go back. If I were worried, I wouldn't have fought the Metal Scorpion. I'll try to run from the wolf. But yeah, basically as long as we don't run into a warlock, most everything is pretty safe here. Yeah, I did learn a lot from other speedrunners in all 4 games, but I also brought my own innovations to each of the 4 games. And that's something I'm really proud of, because people have put so much work into these games. And I always feel like, you know, once a speedrun is close to being mastered, it's like everyone has thought of everything.
Right, like what could I possibly hope to bring to the table at this point after all these talented people have already been over it?
Exactly. Just getting into the concept of speedrunning this game in particular, like watching other people. Almost every time I watched a new person speedrun this game, I saw something and I was like, wow, I never would have thought of that on my own. No goldmen yet. So yeah, goldmen only give 6 experience, so they're basically not worth fighting, but we want to fight about 3 or 4 of them to get enough gold for the silver shield, and there's no reason to fight those 3 or 4 before level 12, because we'll kill them faster and we'll take less damage. So, if we're going to be running from the rest anyway, we might as well run until we're at level 12. It'd be nice if there were desert tiles here so we wouldn't get, our walking wouldn't get slowed down, but such is life. Can't have 3 miracle desert tiles everywhere you go. Right, Kara, when you do the level 12 to 13 grind outside of Hawksness, you're fighting a lot of enemies that give more gold to like a higher gold to experience ratio, especially wyverns. Like their ratio is even higher than wolf lords, and wolf lords are like I think 3.5 to 1, approximately. So yeah, the 3 or so gold men is only, it's a pretty short amount of time to commit, but you're right, it absolutely makes a difference.
Oh, I did not know that the gold drop is directly related to the HP that they spawned with.
Yeah, that's something I didn't know for a while, but I did figure it out eventually as a kid. Didn't have any instruction manual or anything like that, so there was a lot of stuff I wanted to figure out on my own, and I did notice that enemies had variable HP, and I wanted to figure out what all their maxes were, so I actually, it sounds so silly right now, but I would actually record how much damage I did to an enemy to defeat it, and I would look at the maximums, and I started to notice correlations between how much gold they were giving. So I was always hoping for an enemy to have more HP. I actually never bothered to check if that was true in Dragon Warrior 2 through 4. I assume it is, but I never checked for sure. Level 11 is a 2900 experience, so we're already past the halfway point for the next level. The more Wolf Lords, the better. The PRG Zero cartridges were the ones that existed before the Nintendo Power giveaway.
Right, that's why they're rarer, because so many people got the Nintendo Power ones.
Yep. I even went to a game store last week hoping to find another PRG Zero, because the one I have right now isn't, it locks up usually after about an hour of play or so, which is unfortunate. So yeah, I went looking for one, and there's this game store that had like 5 copies of Dragon Warrior 1, and none of them were PRG Zero.
Can you tell by like looking at a number on the case, or?
Yeah, there is a way to tell. On the back label at the top right corner, it'll say Rev A, and next to that, if you see an indented A in the label, that means it's PRG 1. If there's no indented label, it is a PRG 0 cart.
Huh.
Apparently that's true of all NES games, actually, that the first version will have no indentation, and then the second will have an A. And apparently there were a lot of NES games that had multiple revisions.
Something kind of similar to that for Final Fantasy speedrunning, particularly Final Fantasy 1. The encounter rate is the encounter. All the encounters in the game are laid out off of this table, and the game just kind of cycles through it. And most consoles, NES consoles, when you turn it off and turn it on, the memory initializes to 0, so that number starts at 0, so you know you're going to get the 0 battle, and then the 1 battle, and the 2 battle. But some consoles don't start at 0. They start at 17 or 18, and it means you start with different enemies in the speedrun, and it completely changes things. So there were actually, like, people were on the lookout for certain consoles that that could prove advantageous for speedrunning.
Wow. Yeah, I noticed as a kid with Final Fantasy that, well, the one that really comes to mind is if I were to turn on the game and from the first town walk straight south to the ship and sail straight south, the first thing I would encounter was Kizokus every time.
That's a pretty famous, I think, trick for grinding gold early in the game.
Yeah. And I noticed the same thing in Dragon Warrior 3, which of course we'll be talking about a lot later on Monday morning. The same thing happens in Dragon Warrior 3, and there's a lot of manipulation that can happen as a result. PRG Zero is the rarer one, so is it worth more in terms of money? Well, first of all, most shops, in fact virtually all shops, don't even know the difference. I mean, the only reason that it actually comes up is because of speedrunning, because it makes a difference for speedrunners. And that's only been a really recent thing. So, not much word is spread about it. It was kind of funny. I went into the shop and, you know, I asked to see their cartridges, their Dragon Warrior 1 cartridges. And so, the guy who was running the counter, he pulls out a copy, and it's in, you know, a plastic sleeve, and it's got a manual on the back. Like, the sleeve was clear, but the manual was blocking the back. So I asked him, can you take it out? I want to see the back of the label. And I sort of wondered if he was, like, in his head, he was thinking, why? Why would you want to see that?
The kind of people who collect old video games can be particular, I think. So I guess he's probably seen all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he probably assumed I was looking for one of the specific... Like, I've seen, there was a Canadian release of this game, and the back of the label has English and French descriptions of how to use, you know, the save files and hold reset as you turn off power type thing. And I think I've seen at least 3 different labels. Like, one of them has red text at the bottom and one of them doesn't.
Yeah, there are definitely super fans out there who want each version of that game on a shelf somewhere.
Yep. But in terms of PRG Zero specifically, as yet, there's no definitive market for it. Even on eBay, like, people will unknowingly sell PRG Zero cartridges for the same price. Yeah, also the number in the top left corner of the back of the back label, the indentation, the number in the top left corner is, I've seen it be 1, I've seen it be 5, I've seen it be 20. I actually don't know what that number means. Four more Wolf Lords to our next level.
No, we got people in chat now who are digging through their collections to see if their cards are PRG Zero or not. It looks like someone found one.
It always happens. I've discovered over the past month that a lot of people who have Dragon Warrior cartridges have a PRG Zero, and they never knew about it before.
I moved recently, so I found a bunch of old stuff, and there's particular a bunch of old video game stuff. So I thought I only had the one Nintendo game that I speedrun, Kabuki Quantum Fighter. But then I found the Mario that it came with, and then I found someone got me Mega Man 2. Like, I had no console, they just got me the cartridge as, like, I know you like these things. And then I found my old Dragon Warrior cartridge, and I was like, well, how did all my other NES games disappear, but Dragon Warrior stayed? So that actually is sitting in a bin just a couple feet away somewhere. Maybe at some point I'll go rifling around in there and dig it out.
I went back home about 3 years ago, and I ended up bringing my NES back with me. I was hoping to find a ton of old games. I had about a dozen or so still. But what really blew my mind is I had a couple boxes too that I didn't remember having. Nothing significant, like I had a box for Blades of Steel and I had a box for Mylan's Secret Castle.
I found a bunch of manuals, and I'm not the kind of person who really likes to collect those things, but I also didn't feel good about just throwing them away.
Yeah.
So I was like, people really do care about these things. There's only a certain amount of them. I really don't want to just destroy them. And so I was like, but I don't really care about selling them either. So I just keep them, I guess.
Yeah, only a set number of them left in the world. And there are some manuals for some games that are informative in ways that, like, I mean, there's some information that would otherwise be lost, like the names of enemies in certain games, for example.
Yeah, that's true. There's a certain amount of video game preservation, I guess, is an interesting topic with a lot of facets to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if there are no more CRTs, you will never be able to experience games the way they were when they first came out.
If I couldn't get a CRT, I don't know what kind of impact that would have on speedrunning. I would certainly have to take a break from it for a while. Like, you know, I don't have interest in running on emulators if I don't have to. I mean, if this one conked out and they weren't really easy, like they're still really easy to find. I mean, people are
they give them away.
Yeah, all over the place.
How long will that last?
That's the
20
question.
years in the future, the CRTs will be a valuable commodity in the speedrunning community.
And we're the only ones who realize how useful they are in terms of playing a game without any lag, any visual lag.
Yeah. I got a big one sitting on my desk here that I found on my way home. Someone just like, nope, I don't need this old TV. And I looked at the back and I was like, look at all those ports. There's an S video port. Oh man, I'm grabbing this, and carried that thing home.
Awesome. Excellent move. Wow. My excellent moves are not killing anything today. Well, nothing of the wolf family anyway. So yeah, fortunately at this point I'm to a point where I don't have to go and heal very often. It always feels like such a waste of time to have to leave the battlefield even for 30 to 45 seconds, however long it takes. Yeah, I don't have any problem with the way it looks on a flat screen necessarily, but the lag is very noticeable, especially when you're playing timing-sensitive games like rhythm games, for example. The difference is, like, it's not only noticeable, like, it's glaringly large. I mean, it's gotta be at least a good 1/10 of a second delay, and that's just horrendous.
Yep, on certain TVs, it's pretty much game-breaking.
I love the idea that at gaming events, you know, people in the know, they don't just bring gaming systems, they bring TVs with them too, old CRTs.
I want to see someone pimp their ride with CRTs and old game consoles, and someone get Exhibit on the phone.
I saw a couple episodes of that show. The thing that really bothered me about it was every time, like, they essentially rip apart the car and build a new one, and there's nothing left of the old one whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw an episode where they put a PlayStation 2 in someone's trunk, and it had, stereo surround speakers and a TV to go with it. And I just thought it was really odd. Like, it was a standard trunk, the kind you open from the back, and I was like, when are you going to use that? When are you going to play from your trunk? Like, that seems really awkward.
Yeah, you would need, like, a whole couch to, like, detach and get in front of it, and then maybe.
Pretty much.
People come up with some great stuff for tailgating, though. You'll find some incredible things to do with your car if you go to a tailgating at a football,
Right.
big football game,
Yeah.
like motorized couches and stuff. You could probably find a spot for your trunk PS2.
Yeah, last time I went to the US, I went to my first NFL game, and I was impressed by, like, the tailgating concept is huge. There are people
It's
who
fun.
go to the parking lot and just spend the day there pretty
Yeah,
much.
they don't even go. They're not really there for the game. It's like a little festival.
Yeah. Another excellent move, and this time it's enough to kill the Wolf Lord. Or sorry, defeat the Wolf Lord, because nothing gets killed in an NES game. That's too serious language for kids.
Yeah, in Bionic Commando, Hitler's defeated face blows up all over the place, but he's okay.
I'll never know how that slipped past the censors. That's probably the most graphic example across the library.
I know, they went through and scrubbed out, like, all of the Nazi imagery. Like, they did some really heavy reworking on that game.
Yeah.
And then they were like, you know what, someone put a lot of time into this art drawing of this face exploding. Just leave it.
Alright, wolves still give 16 experience, which is more than the metal scorpions I fight down south, so they're actually still worth fighting on the way. I would run from skeletons at this point, and I think I'll just run from this warlock too. Just want to get to the bigger enemies faster. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was actually the first time a Wraith cast heal tonight. I forget what their percentage is. It's either 25% or 33% that they'll cast it when their HP is low enough.
Generally, they're going to be healing for less than you're dealing, though, right? So it's a small time waste, but not
It's
a big
interesting.
problem.
The enemy heal in this game is... I think it's about 10 HP more for enemies than it is for you, which is kind of strange. Against Wraiths, they will actually be able to heal more than you're damaging them, but when you fight Wraith Knights, they have, I think their max HP is about 42, and you can deal 30 damage to them, and then they cast heal, and they heal about 25. So if that keeps happening over and over, you will actually kill the Wraith Knight that way. So yeah, the heal spell is different for you and enemies, but I think the others, like for example, hurt, I believe is the same for you and an enemy. It is dodging. Oh, that's another thing. I believe any enemy in the game has a chance of dodging your attack, but when an enemy attacks you and it says a miss, no damage has been scored, that doesn't mean you dodge their attack. You have a 0% dodge chance of dodging an enemy attack. When it says that, it means that the enemy's damage count was literally 0 after the random element was added to the calculation. So if you're weak enough, you can do 0 damage to an enemy, or it can dodge your attack that did do damage. But the same is not true for enemy attacks. You can never actually dodge an enemy attack. It's only if they do 0 damage. Okay, so there is a slight damage in hurt. That's interesting. Yeah, I think I just never noticed because I don't encounter too many magicians or magidrakes.
That's right, I don't think we ever talked really about the spell names and how blunt they are to the point. This one heals, this one hurts, this one sleeps. What about this one? It also heals. Well, it heals more.
Stop spell, outside, return, yeah, they're all very explicit in their naming.
That's true. Someone else brings up a point that some games they go the other way, where the names are just gobbledygook. Like the wizardry games where you're like, I have to remember, what does Tilt-a-Watt do again? I have no idea. At least sometimes there's like a sort of logic to it, like in the Phantasy Star games. You'll have like Res heals you, and G-Res is a medium heal, and Na-Res is a large heal.
Yeah.
The Persona games can get pretty crazy too. Some of the stat enhancing spells are like Taru Kaja and Raku Kaja, and so like the Kajas are buffs and the Kundas are debuffs, and if there's a Ma in front of it, then it targets multiple people.
Yeah.
At some point, Final Fantasy switched from numbers to the A and Aga and Aja system.
It is dodging.
So I'm sure everyone is dying to know what is the next experience breakpoint for level 12. The rustling as he returns to the microphone. Oh crap, he's talking to me.
Just had to take a moment. Level 12 is at 4,000. So we're almost there. It's, after this battle, 11 more Wolf Lords. I always jokingly say that Wolf Lord is an official unit of measure.
Yeah, I think it's 20 stone is a wolf lord, I think.
Boom! It's nice to see that I've reached the point where excellent moves will actually kill things in one hit.
I forget, the excellent move ignores defense?
I don't know how the calculation is done.
I feel like it does, at least to some degree. And so the reason crits kind of scale exponentially
Yeah, that's true.
in strength throughout the game as enemies' armor gets higher and higher and you start piercing through more and more armor.
Yeah.
No, it looks like it just double damage. No, but Shiner says it also ignores defense.
Getting a few more Wolf Lords out of the way before I heal. If I were to fight 3 more, I could get the level first. So again, we're in that dangerous realm of temptation. I only took 1 damage from that one, so maybe it's not so dangerous after all. It's a good thing that Wraith didn't heal, though. So we need 22 more. So yeah, we'll fight safer enemies on the way back. That makes more sense. And just hope we don't get put to sleep by a warlock.
Yeah, even if you have enough defense for him to only do one hit, he can always use the magic and chip away at you.
Yep. Alright, so I got away with another round of good timing on that one. One more level to go, and then we get to the interesting stuff. So yeah, as we get closer to the end of the level, we'll see if we actually need to kill any goldmen. Love the rate of Wolf Lord discovery. Speeds things up so much.
It's kind of interesting people in chat talking about I mean they're being a little facetious, but they're like, man, I can't believe I'm watching this guy just go back and forth and do this thing. And I think, I like to think that it's because part of the thing that people really like about RPGs, even if it's sort of artificial, is the way your character grows over time. And so I think even as a viewer, you get a piece of that. You see those numbers go up. You see oh, but now he's almost 13. Oh, but now he's almost 14.
Was always one of the greatest appeals for me, and I still love watching others play RPGs as well.
You can get really cynical about it, though. You can end up with like a progress quest, or I guess something like a cookie clicker, where that's the whole game, is just making the numbers go up. But there's no denying that there's just something satisfying about filling bars and numbers getting bigger.
See, I actually beat that gold man in 2 hits. That would almost never happen even at level 11. So again, there's no reason to fight them before level 12 if you're going to be running from the majority of them either way. So level 13 is at 5,500. At level 13 we also learn the spell of return, and the first thing we do is cast it.
Yeah, let's go. Well, what does this do? What? I guess you should have read the label. Return.
So we're gonna kill at least 2 gold men. And then as we get closer to the end of the level, we'll see how much gold we have. So yeah, even at level 13, the next stuff we're going to do is going to be pretty risky. It's just a lot less risky than level 12 or level 11. A lot of excellent moves all of a sudden. Oops. Oh yes, I said yes to the Dragon Lord as a kid, and it took me a few minutes to figure out what was going on. It didn't make sense. Screen turned red, the dialogue box was still there, and I couldn't advance it. Just that quiet, slow music playing in the background.
Whoa, we got some... I believe that Cyrillic is the name of those characters. On the off chance it's something really mean, I suppose I'll...
Which brings us to our next theorized odd category for this game, which we call threesome percent. What you do is rescue the princess from a dragon, carry her to the Dragon Lord, and then say yes to his question. So you don't actually have to be strong enough to beat the Dragon Lord. You just have to be strong enough to get there. And the idea is, supposedly, you're having a threesome with the princess and the Dragon Lord when you say yes. It sounds like a random silly idea, but one speedrunner tested it out, and it turned out to be kind of interesting in terms of the dynamic of how difficult it is to get to the Dragon Lord below level 18. So if we were to actually race this with multiple people, at what point, like, where's the threshold? How low of a level would you be willing to try?
Right. 17 becomes possible, and you start to think about maybe 16, 15...
I was amazed, by the way. I watched him do about 5 tries at level 13, and on one of them he actually made it to the bottom floor, which was... it just blew my mind that he could get that far. I haven't actually tried it myself yet. But someday that's a thing we're gonna race for sure.
Helix Uranus in chat says this game isn't very suited to the speedrun concept. And obviously he's talking about it's just not very fast. It's
Yep.
a lot of minutes. But to get a little philosophical, I guess, the concepts behind speedrunning, the research and the planning and the routing, I think it actually, it and lots of RPGs actually pose a sort of interesting problem to fix. And it's sort of, it can often be more complex than a platformer. But I guess it's kind of just not as fun. Like in a platformer, you could jump over this thing in maybe 4 different ways, and you get to figure out which way to jump over it is fastest. Whereas in something like this, you would do math to figure out what is fastest.
That's right.
Right. It depends what you're trying to get out of speedrunning, I guess, but I think the sort of science behind speedrunning that is there for platformers and every game really still very much applies to RPGs like this.
Absolutely. Alright, I've fought 3 gold men, so it's time to run from all of them for sure, until we get towards the end of the level and we can just check how much gold we have at that point. Because not all enemies in this area give the same gold to experience ratio, so it's not automatic. Like, you're not always going to know exactly how much gold you're going to have when you level up. Whoops. That was an accident, but I might as well finish what I started.
Zapper Gandhi in chat says, did the XP gain rate go up after level 12, or is he just getting used to this? It did. As you get stronger, you kill things faster, you last out in the wilderness longer, and your XP does start going up faster. You do, of course, need more and more to get to the next level. So the time it takes to reach each level is about the same. But the rate at which the numbers increase does in fact go up.
so I can already see I'm gonna have tons of gold. Definitely didn't have to fight as many gold men as I did. Starting to happen a little already. I'm getting tired.
You're like halfway. You're a little past halfway. There's that. But
I may have just needed a couple moments to rest there.
yeah, that's a sort of aspect of speedrunning that doesn't come up very often. The sort of endurance, the factor, the physical toll it can take.
Yeah, and even for games like this, it's rarely a factor for me. It's just sometimes, like, even if there isn't an event going, like, sometimes I just want to play overnight. I want to go, you know, give a game another chance, go for a record late at night or whatever. And then sometimes I get that feeling when I know I'm going to be, like, for example, running into sunrise the next day. It's going to be easier after Dragon Warrior 2, though. No more gold bin. That's 3 failed run attempts in a row. I do have perfect pitch. I didn't see what you were referring to, though. Alright, we're down to the final 200 experience before we move on. Oh, I believe... Oops. I believe that arpeggio is just minor thirds, like starting on C sharp. So it's like 4 notes, and then if you scale up again to the next octave, it's the same 4 notes repeated. Doesn't really matter when I head back. I don't think I can make it to the next level before I have to heal, and even if I can, I don't have enough MP for return, so I have to head back at some point anyway. Just not sure what's the best way to do it, but I'll figure it out in the next minute. Alright, 5 more Wolf Lords to go. Or 6 more wolves.
Dweller in the Cellar, which is a name I like, by the way, says no more Dragon Warrior after this. Well, actually, we got 3 more Dragon Warriors on the way, and we're gonna take a break from Dragon Warrior. We're gonna get back to some of the faster-paced, side-scrolling, platforming kind of games you expect from Nintendo speedrun marathon. But there is a healthy dose of Dragon Warrior still remaining in this marathon.
Yes, indeed. I hate that I have to work during some of the prime time runs of this marathon, but as soon as I get home from work today, I'll be back on. Alright, we have level 13. Let's go take care of business.
That's right. I think it's probably like a half hour ago or something. But I think we talked about how we're, the sort of items we're hoping to get. But I don't think we've really talked about how we're going to get them and what sort of knights might be standing in our way.
Well, the Axe Knight comes to mind.
That would be the one.
Oh, right, I still had the herb that I got from that cave. Totally forgot about that. Alright, so in the interest of the marathon, we have to safety save here, because if we die on the way to Cantlin, we lose half our gold, and that means the run is over. It's not the most dangerous part of this, but again, we've seen what can happen in some of the less dangerous parts, like the walk to Remolder. I mean, it's still dangerous, but I have a high success rate going to Remolder at level 4, and even still, sometimes things just go wrong.
That's right, we need that gold. We're saving for the shield, right?
Yep. So this is another interesting thing, Magi-Wyverns. They can be pretty dangerous. They're pretty strong, and if they put you to sleep, you can be sleep-locked for long enough to be killed very often. But they're very vulnerable to sleep, which is a rare trait in enemies in this game. But it turns out that it's safer to put them to sleep and then run away than to try to just run away. Anyway, we've got tons of MP here. I don't really need to worry about conserving heals. So I'm just gonna heal again. And there we go.